Hi, Alistair. We're back for another masterclass as usual. And today we're going to talk about one particular expression in Spanish, which is ha surgido algo, right? Ha surgido algo, and how you would translate that. And in fact, what we're going to do is we're going to give our community members two phrasal verbs, right? And one particular expression so that they can think about and try to really put into practice this whole translation of ha surgido algo. And the first one that we thought of was that something has come up, right? Something has come up. And that's always kind of a really useful phrasal verb to use, isn't it? I mean, it's something that, you have to create some sort of excuse and you have to say, oh, something came up and I couldn't attend that particular meeting or whatever, right?
Well, it's something that happens a lot, isn't it? So in a work situation, all the time, things come up unexpectedly that you have to deal with, problems, issue. Well, going back to the previous masterclass, some kind of issue, situation, problem occurs, and you have to deal with it in that moment, or an email you suddenly receive and you've got to answer it because it's urgent. So it's often used as an excuse, isn't it? So I might get messages in the WhatsApp from a client explaining why they can't attend the class or they're late. So I'm going to be 5 minutes late. Something's come up. So it's also when you don't necessarily want to go into detail and explain what it is because it's not relevant. So all I need to know as the coach is my client says, sorry, Ali, something's come up last minute. I'm going to be 10 minutes late for the class, or I have to cancel the class. Sorry, something's come up that I have to deal with. So they don't need to tell me what it is. It's not relevant. No. But I know something urgent that they need to deal with, a problem they need to solve has appeared from nowhere, so to speak, unexpectedly. And unfortunately, that means they can't attend the meeting or the class or whatever it may be. No? It's a very useful phrase because you need it a lot in the business world.
Absolutely, absolutely. So something's come up. Really great way of creating an excuse. Really,
but legitimate
really
ones
now,
usually
there is
something really has come up.
Absolutely.
It's not like our previous, with making something up.
Oh yeah, and did you get away with it?
So again, with up, no interest.
No, this is a genuine, something genuine.
Up, no? So we did several with up, and this is another one. Something comes up.
Yeah, something comes up, and you have to cancel because there's no option, right? And there is another phrasal verb that we thought about, and it's kind of interesting word that is used in this particular phrasal verb, which is something has cropped up. Now, this one, I'm sure. A lot of our fluency community members will not know this. They probably won't know even that particular sort of. Well, they probably don't know the phrasal verb in the sense, but they don't even know that first word to crop up, right?
It's not as a verb. They probably many of them know crop, the word crop, to do with farming.
Maybe.
So crops are things that you grow in agriculture. Wheat or maize or whatever is your crop. Or anything you grow, in agriculture is a crop of strawberry. And then it's a strange word because then when you actually cosechar, the harvest, people probably know the word harvest, you can also use the word crop. So we had a really good crop of strawberries this year or wheat or whatever. So people may know it in that context to do with agriculture and farming, but as a verb, and as a phrasal verb, to crop up. Nothing to do with farming, agriculture, wheat, strawberries, nothing. So what does it mean? Well, it means this, no?
It means exactly what the same as come up. So something has cropped up. I mean, that is really showing your level of English if you can use that one in particular, because if somebody used that with me, I'd be wow,
I'm not sure I've ever had
very, very high level.
A client or a student that's ever used that expression that I can remember of any level.
I mean, that is very sort of, that's very native speaking.
And be careful with double, if you're writing it, double P. So crop with one P and cropped up, you have to double the P. So something's cropped up. I think I would probably use that more than come up as a native speaker.
I think you probably would. Yeah. So in this case, it's kind of like important that sort of members know what it is, because native speakers will kind of use it
to recognize
quite
it
frequently,
Maybe
right?
You don't use it, but you need to recognize it.
Absolutely.
So it could be very confusing if you do know that word from the other context. So something cosecha, what's that?
Cosecha.
What's that got to do with anything?
That's right. Absolutely. Super confusing. So yeah, those two, come up and
Mm-hmm.
cropped up or crop up. Really important ones. And then we kind of promised two phrasal verbs and one expression, right? So the expression here is out of the blue. Out of the blue. Now we might have discussed this maybe in the podcast
I think it was
once
in
or
a
twice.
podcast episode at
Maybe.
least once, and
Yeah.
it came up. Here you are. We're using
All right.
it cropped up. Okay, so it doesn't have to be a problem necessarily. Just occurred to me.
No.
It's just something that
Yeah.
appears from something. So we often use it
Yeah.
in sense of like a issue or problem that needs to be dealt with, something urgent.
Yeah.
Knowing that's the main use. But in fact, last Thursday, I think it was, in the live fluency session, the expression one of the members used the expression out of the blue. So that
Right.
expression came up in
Right.
unexpectedly.
Yeah.
No, it wasn't the theme of the
Yeah.
session, and I had to. I said,
Sure.
"Oh, great, lovely expression." I said, "How many people know the expression out of the blue?" But I think
Yeah.
maybe one person did. So I said to the person,
Right.
"Can you explain it to the rest?" Which they did very well, saying something
Oh, right.
unexpected. So when something is a big
Yes.
surprise or happens unexpectedly. So I suppose out of the blue, you can imagine the blue would be the sky, I suppose, and
Sure.
something just
Yeah.
appears from the sky, from nowhere, like from heaven, I
Yeah.
suppose. I never really thought about
Yes.
it, but
Yes.
most people don't analyze what it means. It just means a big surprise.
Yeah.
Oh, out of the blue.
It's a big surprise. Out of the blue. Yeah. He turned up
Yeah.
out of the blue. He turned up out of my, he turned up on my doorstep out of the
with
blue.
no previous warning. Yeah, something happens without previous warning. Or it could be somebody contacts you, happens in Facebook, for example. Suddenly you get a message from somebody you haven't seen since primary school or something, since you were 12.
Yeah.
So it's completely out of the blue, because obviously you're not expecting it. It's like, oh, wow, I didn't even know this person was alive or dead. And suddenly they're wanting to be friends in Facebook. I haven't seen them since I was 11.
Yeah.
So it's totally out of the blue. No?
Totally out of the blue. So there you go. Two phrasal verbs and one expression. And our challenge for this week, what is our challenge for this week, Alistair? Is kind of to use, well, they can use all three of them. Ideally,
if they could get all three in,
right?
would be brilliant.
Yeah.
Just practicing any of those three, all three, telling a story, an anecdote, where something came up, something cropped up. It might be easier to tell an anecdote with out of the blue, because that's sort of
it might be
more general. It can be almost anything that happened. Something happened out of the blue recently to them, either at work or out of work. But obviously, if you can get in also the phrase cropped up or came up, even better.
Yeah, additional brownie points.
Let's say challenges, an anecdote, a story using out of the blue. Something happened to you completely out of the blue without warning. And if you can also get in one of those other two, fantastic. Extra
points for those people who can do those. That's a very strange expression as well. Brownie points. I don't know why we say that.
Is it from the brownies?
No idea.
Like
I don't know. And like it'd be very probably most. I don't think they have the idea of or the concept of brownies, do they?
No idea. Well,
Spain
female scouts, I think, were the brownies.
Female scouts.
So I don't know why they. Because they wore brown uniform. I'm just
they did. They did. That's right.
So scouts were
that's
boys, and the girls were called brownies because they wore brown
That's
shirts.
Right.
And in Spain, they're probably just all scouts, male or female.
Probably.
Probably now they're mixed anyway, I'm sure. Like I'm talking about in the 70s when I was a Boy Scout, they were separated, boys and girls. Now I'm sure they're mixed.
Yeah.
So probably the word brownies has probably disappeared from the lexicon I would imagine in UK. This is a cultural thing that I have no idea, to be honest.
Yeah. And so we still say brownie points.
Yeah, because you'd win points when you were a
like...
scout or a brownie. If you did certain you complete a task or something, you get points for your team. And the one with the most points, I don't know, would win something. So this expression to get brownie points so even though the brownies has probably completely disappeared these days, I would imagine, the expression brownie to get brownie points continues. Interesting, isn't it?
Well, we'll have to research that because maybe we're wrong. Maybe it still does exist. Who knows? But anyway, there we go. There's the challenge to use out of the blue something that's come up or cropped up, some sort of story, sort of something that happened to you, maybe a long time ago,
or
maybe recently. Doesn't really matter.
Preferably at work, but it doesn't have to be. Could be out
doesn't have
of work.
to be. Just as long as it's sort of engaging, interesting,
that's what we like.
absolutely fine.
Nice story, nice anecdote. Illustrating the meaning.
Fantastic.
Obviously.
Yeah. Fantastic, Alistair. Thank you very much.
You.
And I'll see you again next week.
See
All
you.
right.
Bye.
For another masterclass. All right. See you. Bye-bye.